In the peaceful town of Lakeside Pines, everybody knew me as Clara Hastings, the sweet girl with a sunny disposition. I was 25 years old, and I had learned to navigate my way through subtle beauty of my surroundings. The glittering lakes, sprawling parks, and the picturesque trails painted a perfect landscape that screamed serenity, yet beneath this calm surface hid my turbulent past. I always had an understanding nature, soft-hearted, and a soothing presence that drew others to me. But what nobody could see was the darkness that loomed inside, a storm carved out by years of relentless abuse from my sister. You see, I was not just a girl growing up in a happy family. I was the unlucky youngest daughter of an estranged family dynamic. My sister, Veronica, was 3 years older than me, and she wore her rage as armor. I learned quickly that I was the target of her anger, a punching bag upon whom she unleashed all the pain she could not express towards our father, who had chosen to abandon us when we were young. The abuse came in many forms. The worst were the psychological and verbal assaults that cut deeper than any physical blow. I would never forget the moment she hurled the information that our family dog was only around for my happiness, and in one swift motion, she yanked him away from me, injuring him and deepening the scars on my heart. Life spent in her shadow was impossible, each day a tightrope walk of emotional survival. I learned how to turn her venomous words and transformation into laughter as a defense mechanism. I became quick-witted. My survival depended on outsmarting her, my ability to match her hateful tirades with sarcasm becoming a double-edged sword. Yet there was a corner of my soul that craved justice, a yearning to turn the tide and tilt the balance back in my favor. Then one week, everything changed. Veronica had been particularly volatile, her mood swings swinging through our shared space like a tornado ripping through a quiet town. That Friday, I knew she had plans to attend a much-anticipated country concert with her friends. I saw a golden opportunity. I took a deep breath, my heart racing as I thought through my plan. I had stashed a wasp trap hidden away in my room, and that week, I collected samples of the solution each day, adding them to her shampoo and conditioner, relishing the thought of revenge simmering away. Day by day, I could see the extent of Monica's cruelty fade in the face of my small sabotage efforts. But it was not enough. My sister lashed out harder, almost daring me to stand up for myself. On that fateful Friday morning, which I knew would be her last peaceful morning before the concert, she stormed down the hallway, eyes burning with fury. With a final burst of anger, she attempted to shove me down the stairs, her threat of harm hanging in the air, daring my spirit to break. At that moment, everything shifted. The vile and twisted essence of my sister laid bare before me, demanding a response. That is when I decided that nothing was off the table any longer. I realized the risk had now become my greatest ally. With the bitterness bubbling to the surface, I used a mixture of the wasp trap solution and something even more repulsive, urine that I had saved in a plastic bottle for the past few days. I had kept it hidden away in my sunny corner of the room, and in that moment of madness, I saw it as the ultimate weapon against her. I remember holding the bottle in my hand, feeling the weight of my decision pressing down upon me. I had meant to keep the urine out of the plan because even I thought it was crossing a line. But my sister had pushed me too far, her threats too real. I realized I no longer wished to limit my revenge to simple pranks. She had brought this upon herself. So, with every ounce of determination I could muster, I poured the tainted concoction into her shampoo the next morning, leaving my own scent-free shampoo for her to use. I hoped that my addition would not only make her suffer in the immediate aftermath, but that the taste of vengeance would linger long after our skirmish. I poured out the last remnants of the tainted product for good measure and scrubbed my hands clean, swallowing down the excitement coursing through my veins. The day of the concert came, and the air was thick with anticipation, my heart fluttering with the thrill of what was to unfold. I listened from my room as she hurriedly got ready. I heard snippets of her voice mixing with the sounds of rushing water from the shower. I smiled to myself, picturing her blissfully oblivious as the toxins seeped into her hair. As she rushed through her routine, she had no time to suspect anything was amiss. By the time she left the house, the sun was dipping low on the horizon, and I felt a sense of freedom blooming within me. I could hardly contain the laughter that bubbled up as I imagined her terrifying night to come. After her return home, I sat waiting, anticipating the sound of her footsteps. The clock ticked away like the countdown to a roller coaster ride with every tick, pulling the ribbon around my stomach tighter in excitement. When she finally arrived, her face was a mask of outrage and embarrassment, every expression revealing the depth of her humiliation. She stumbled through the door with her hair unkempt, hands flicking wildly in the air like dying leaves caught in a storm, complaining of wasp stings and unbearable odors that haunted her friends throughout the concert. I couldn't help but cackle to myself as she recounted the discomfort, stretching out her tale for my mother, who offered sympathy, while I reveled in the silence of my own self-satisfaction. At that moment, I knew that I had successfully turned the tables. The scent that had come to define her at the concert was now her new friend, following her everywhere, a fitting punishment for years of torment. Even better, she was too downtrodden to retaliate. She remained isolated in her room, choosing to sulk in her self-pity instead of confronting me with her anger. Days turned into 2 weeks, and the air in the house felt lighter, as if the storm clouds blocking out the sunshine had finally drifted away. Veronica, stripped of her confidence, abandoned her harsh remarks, instead choosing to close herself off in her room, wrapped in the sorrow of her embarrassment, replaying the billionaire concert through a haze of shame. Of course, life resumed eventually, but I knew I had changed. The experience had unearthed a new strength within me. I felt empowered by the small taste of revenge I had managed to seize, and no longer was I just a victim. In moments of contemplation, I knew that Veronica and I could never return to the siblings we once were. One untamed part of me reveled in the success, while another part felt the weight of time conditioning our broken bond. Nevertheless, the reckoning we shared cemented a new understanding between us. We might have retreated to our corners, bracing ourselves for future skirmishes, but I bore the mark of liberation. Then, on one particular day when spring whispered echoes of warmth, a strange twist of fate arrived. I was ambling through town when I ran into one of Veronica's old friends from the concert. The girl, an innocent bystander unaware of the backstory, struck up a conversation. As words flowed freely, I learned that my sister had arrested her own happiness, resigning herself to a life of bitterness and self-doubt after my daring act of revenge. In that moment, a mix of emotions surged within me, satisfaction twisted with guilt, despair mixed with triumph. I had liberated myself, yet in doing so, I had only deepened Veronica's misery, perhaps sealing away hope for our relationship forever. What began as a simple revenge plan had turned into something far more complex than I had ever imagined. I understood that it was not just about the sting of a wasp or a feeling of triumph at her expense, but about the tangled web of feelings that bound us together, thick with layers of past pain and present grievances. So, as I continue to carve out my future in Lakeside Pines, it is with the knowledge that revenge is a two-edged sword. I emerged empowered and unafraid of the storms swirling around me, but the fallout lingers, a ghost of my past harboring whispers that haunt the quiet moments when I am alone with my thoughts. The lessons learned are not without their prices. With Veronica still existing in my periphery, her haunting legacy reminds me of the fine line between justice and vindictiveness. And even now, when I catch a glimpse of someone darting away from a wasp, I share a small, sad smile. No one should become a mere reflection of their worst selves, and while I revel in my moment of power, I can only wonder if in achieving my vengeance, I did not lose a part of myself in the process.